is, whoops, forgot to type in the word visit, by Jules Vernian. Oh, trust me, if you watch enough of these videos, you'll see that it's hard to pick a favorite. Um, I'm coming up on my 50th house tours episode. It's going to be in a couple weeks. Because like I said, we've been doing this for almost a year now. And I do this every week. So I've been asking my viewers to submit their favorites from the last year. And I think a lot of them are having trouble keeping the list kind of short because there are so many fantastic plots out there. Okay, so this is Steampunk Madness. For anybody familiar with that style, you'll know that it usually involves a lot of mechanical stuff, gears, that kind of thing. This is another way of kind of treating your entrance teleporter pad. It's basically, it comes as is, but they've boxed it in so that while you're out on the plot itself, if you close the door, then you don't really see it as that much of an eyesore. It doesn't detract from the look of the plot. You can see that they weren't able to box it in completely because most items, there's like a little barrier that comes up when you're editing the plot, and so you can't push things directly underneath or on top of. There are a few things that bypass that. Usually it's things that don't have collision, like grass, some of the plants and bushes, and some things that you can kind of trick to bypass it, like the oversized snowy hill and the massive umbrella tree and the stones and things like that. But like I said, there's a thread in the forum, the housing subforum, that you can go to that discusses a lot of the options that people have found to be able to kind of cover it up. But if you just want to keep it a little simpler and not worry about positioning and stuff, this is one way to do it. Yes, it's a little bit messy right here, but if you can get past that, then I think you'll be happy with how it looks. So this is what it looks like from the outside. See how much nicer that looks? It's just it looks like a totally different place, like as if you didn't come out of it, the usual area. But like I said, this is Steampunk Madness by Jules Vernian, and there's a lot of Jules Verne influence on a lot of the decor that they've put out here. So we're just going to take it slow, step by step. First, I want to admire the like little city that they have built here. We've come across a lot of faux towns, villages, cities, big industrial buildings like this. And it's always fun to see how people address that, how they set up just the shapes of them, how they do the roof treatments, what pieces they use. You can basically build a building out of just about anything, but it's always nice to see other versions of how people address it. But since this is steampunk, like I said, you're going to see a lot of gear references, like the gear for this here, little gears, and they've even made some other interesting ones. If you can see it here, I'll probably show it better over this way. It's looks like just some hover part pieces, and then pillars to make the little ends. It's almost reminiscent of like the, what do you call it, the nautical wheel, but it's more metally with the copper to pillars and things. All of these tubes that you see here and elsewhere, those are all custom. It's using the building blocks of whatever material, and this happens to be Cassian. They've got the curved tubes and the cylinders, excuse me, to make all these different shapes. So it really adds to the character of the plot for that. Most of the flooring is Draken floors. Most of the buildings are Exile. floors. The tops are also Exile leaf, but they're the smaller, and they've angled it a bit. And it looks like they've trimmed it all with the rain gutters, just to kind of give it a little bit of oomph there. You can see most of the buildings have some kind of chimney, and there's also several smokestacks in different locations. Because again, it's steampunk, you think industrial, um, and lots of smoke and steam and working kind of bits. So they have a lot of these smokestacks, and you can see that there's actually smoke coming out of them. Some of them are using, I think, different kinds of like cauldrons and maybe some uh, like fulcrum fire pit things for the smoke. Others are using the blue flare because it gives off a nice white smoke. I think that's what's being used here. I'm not for positive, but it could be. Um, it's kind of hard to tell at the angle I'm looking at, but it's those little details that are fun to kind of notice. The only thing when you're using the flares and stuff, the flares usually have a really bright light. So if you're having to enlarge it pretty big, that means the light's going to be really big. And if what you're putting it in isn't thick enough or deep enough, the flare light actually might show through. The downside to using things like the cauldrons and stuff like that is it has the bubbling sound effect because it's got the bubbling goo inside it. The fire pits, though, those are pretty comfortable for using. They have the nice little bits of embers coming out and the fiery sound effect, crackling fire. So here we have a nice little water fountain. Again, there are some actual fountains in the game that you can put down, but they've chosen to make their own, and it's just using a combination of domes and cylinders of different materials. This is Oran, that's Cassian, and then layering in different types of waterfalls to get some nice little look. Thankfully, they don't have her vomiting the water out from the top, but using some Draken bits. I think they wanted it more for like a look of gargoyles kind of thing. Again, kind of mirroring this like tiered cake look over here, and using it just as kind of a homage to the gear for the steampunk theme. Again, cylinders and domes. Over here we have one of the little ship models. Got several of these. And then you have this nice big waterway here in the middle, and you can see this is a representation of, I believe it's called the Nautilus, from, what is it, something like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Is that what it's from, I think? You see part of the fin of it, and then you see more of the body of it here. And you can see it's just Chua materials mostly for the outside of it. You got Chua triangles, I think pillars for part of the spine of that decoration there, and then cylinders and curved parts for the rest of the body. We'll take a little closer look at it here in a moment, but we're going to finish looking around the buildings first. Again, repeating the gear designs. We've got that in several places here. Really nice decoration. It's simple put together, but it effective. I mean, we don't have a lot of gear pieces, so it makes it look interesting. Here we have the same gears, but this time they're given a function for the waterfall here. So it'd be like, you know, they're actually turning and being powered by the water. Yeah, this is a pretty fun one, Maddie. Marshall's well known for mechanical stuff. And this is by far no different in that. We'll take a closer look at all these little extra little builds. I'm just mostly getting the building first. So here we have like a little train track area, and I think they're using a travel poster for this, this little tunnel thing. We don't really have too many solid black bits, and those that we do have are a little cumbersome depending on how you're using them. But this to kind of represent that there's a tunnel there that the train would go into. But look at these bits here, the wheels. So it's the nautical wheel set inside like a cylinder piece. And so the building itself looks like a giant train. And notice how they've changed up some of the smokestacks. They have the triangles pieces on top, and then the cylinders, and then some are capped with domes, make it a little different. So it looks like an actual big train, the building itself, which I think is fun. And then you have this one over here, where it looks like a observatory. You got this big like telescope thing popping out. Those are portable planters for both ends, and then cylinders to kind of make that retractable looking kind of thing going. Again, yes, the buildings are all faux. I don't think you can actually go in most of it, if not all of it. One of the reasons why I'm kind of going around, because I've been here before, but I didn't go like over it with a fine-tooth comb. And I know there are some builders that are avidly against having a lot of faux type of buildings because they consider it kind of a disappointment that, ooh, there's all these buildings and then you can't go in most of it, if not all of it. But I think once we get a little closer into some of the other bits that he's made, you'll understand why a lot of builders opt for faux buildings in a lot of instances, because there's just not the decor limit that supports putting so much effort into that thing. Okay, I don't know what this building's supposed to be for, but you can actually go in there, but there's nothing in there. But still, look at all the pipes that they've added just to make it interesting. I really like those pipes. I don't know why it's a big thing. Again, some more train tracks, and these are like different stops. They've got the tracks coming out. The tracks themselves are made from pillars, 2 pillars for the main part, and then the brackets in between are the orange style. And then these are hover part pieces for the ends, the little stops. So I guess since we're over here on the train side, we'll look at the train. So you have these passenger cars. Again, they're using the wheels, basically the same design that they have for the gears. They just have the spokes contained within the hover park rounds so that they're not sticking out, obviously. The bottom, like, I don't know what you call that, the axles or whatever, are again pillars. They're the Cassian versions. Oran walls and arches for the main body of it, topped with those same hover part pieces for the little roofing. Hey, Bucky, no problem. Just exploring. Let's see, I'm going to go inside one of these here. Again, looks like Exile floors for the bottoms, and then just decorated up with an assortment of rugs and couches and things. The little connectors are using the Chua Tech arms. Okay, let me see if I can see this a little better. The engine part, he was really proud of this. Let me get my notes here. The steam trains are using Osun forges that are upside down. So that's what these bits here, I think, are. And that's what's giving the glow and the steam that you see, the little animated smoke coming out. That's what that's coming from, is the Osun forges. So you see this, that smoky kind of gives that indication that it's something hot coming out. That's what that's from. The rest of it, I think that's an Exile, oh, what do you call it? It's like the little toll booth. That's what I think of it as, but I think it's something else. I think it's an item you get from PvP, actually. I don't remember the name of it. Looks like some orange cylinders. That's a protostar, gosh, the names are just zipping out of my brain right here. Protostar panel of some sort, power generator panel thing. Exile dome and cylinder, and then the hover part pieces for the roofing. You got some, I think those are ship exhausts on the side. Those are from something. Ship exhaust here too. And then they've got the blue flare for the smoke. And I think this one is using one of the fire pits for the bits here. I don't have my sound on, so I can't really confirm that. For the little, what do you call it? The railing, the grate on the front. It's Chua pillars laying over top of the hover part piece to give it that nice metal shiny look. This looks like an Osun drum for the front part with a Chua spotlight for the headlamp there. And again, repeating those wheels that we saw on the building over here, and then just added some Cassian pillars for the little, the little things as they roll, they kind of move each other. It'd be so awesome if you could actually animate this thing and have it ride around the plot. That would be cool. I think that's a mounted wall generator on this side here. There's probably some other bits that I'm missing, but that's the majority, I think. It's a really nice, we've seen several trains over the last year. We saw some for Winterfest, and I think there was a couple in some Western style towns. I think this is one of the more impressive ones, in my opinion, but it's not that the others were bad, it's just I think the more detail you can put into it and the more realistic it looks, the better. And this one's done a good job. This one is the mole machine. Let me see. From the Journey to the Earth's Core, another reference to Jules Verne. Using the stones to kind of make it look like it's, actually burrowed into the ground here. So you've got a lot of tubes or whatever. You got the little end even. It's just basically sized down and tiered up so that it's got that little point, and using the curved walls to allow you to actually go inside. You'd sit in the chair, and here's your little control. It's just, I think it's the Chua heat rod fireplace that gets the shelves, a little TV decor, and then some Chua desks for the little bits here. This is one of those doors that actually doesn't work. It's called the Grannock hatch, but it doesn't actually functions. Yeah, EU side is pretty fun. Granted, I think Entity probably has more activity just because the population is a little bigger in general, but we do have our fair share. So here's another train. It's basically similar to the other one in that it's using a lot of the same parts. You got the Osun bits and the grate and the tires or wheels or whatever. Uh, but for the engine part, they've changed up a little bit. Um, they're using Tua tanks for this one. Oops, that was like a magnificent jump there. Let's see if I can use my hoverboard and make it a little better. And I'm like so bad at jumping. I can't get up there. I'm trying to get a good look at yeah. So the Tua tanks themselves already have a lot of pipes and stuff coming out, so that helps play into the whole mechanical bit. But still, really nice job. And anybody who wants to train, who wouldn't want a train that looks like that? Again, I don't have the sound on, so I don't know if there's a lot of sound effects going on, but I'm sure it's making some kind of noise. Okay, next we'll go and have a look at, I don't know what you want to call this, airship, zeppelin, dirigible, something along those lines. The floaty thing. Whoop, I knew I was going to do that. You got to make it safe. You got to put a little plank there for me. Okay, let's take a look at it first from this side. Again, some interesting parts that they decided to use. I don't remember what these call. Are those the crushers? So one of the new Protostar pieces. I don't know if it's a crusher or something. And then the windmill blades to give that, it's the little propellers. The only thing that probably bugs me is that the blades actually cut into the ship itself. And I'm sure that was more probably just because of the positioning that it needed to be, because this moves and maybe they didn't want to make it too big. Maybe it interfered with hitting the building itself. I don't know. That's the only thing I see funky about it. But most people probably wouldn't even notice. Just me. This part, the little puffy part is, I think it's Granox style tubes and domes and triangles. And then some repeated domes out here to get that nose shape. I can get up under there. Yeah, it's just 4 domes stacked on top of each other. You've got the, it's really hard to see. It looks like the taurine sword sticking out the front, and then just the hanging chain to kind of join it up. The base of the ship is a combination of Exile curved walls and domes, and then you have this like little pointy part. Kind of reminds me of like it almost looks like a diving board, but it's one of the hover part pieces. And then the railing, of course, is the deck railing. It all works really good with each other. And the little captain's helm here, that's just Exile shelves, just turned on their side. And then you've got the nautical wheel there, stuck on looks like a granite pillar. It's a really cute little thing. For the little netting, that's just a Chua netting. See if I not fall again. But again, it's a really fun little idea. So that's one floaty thing. There's some other floaty things. I don't know if we can get really close to any of them, but you'll see that there's some little hot air balloons. Basically, from what I can see, it looks like domes um, for the ball part. It's really hard to tell from this distance, but I suspect it's a red moon vent for that bottom bit with some hanging chains and then the Chua cup for the basket. That's the bottom pit part here is the only thing I'm not sure about. It's really hard to see from that distance. Well, what you do is you can either build them, place the item right there and build it from there. But I suspect, at least the way I would do it is I would build it, like start with the basket on the ground and then build up, and then just link it together and move it over. That's one of the advantages of linking your items together. You're able to move them as a set wherever you want. Okay, so I think that's most everything on the exterior. There's another dirigible thing over here, but I assume it's basically the same construction as this one. So I think that's just the ship that's left. Let's take a little closer look at it. So again, you have the fins. It's Draken pillars for most of the spiny part, and then the Chua triangles and stuff for this. I guess the scales, the spikes, the spiny bits. Even this part, look how many pieces is used there. There's lots of triangle pieces, some walls. The little ladders are basically graded shelves. Again, it's got that faux hatch on the top for like entrance into that part, and then the spine. I'm not too familiar with I kind of Googled up some Nautilus pictures, but I think it's like one of those things where it's described in a book and people just make their own kind of versions. And I really like the way this one come out. It's almost like sea monster looking. For the blue bits, I think these are upside down, or we're looking at the bottoms of the, what do you call it? The emergency thing, the thing that's got the early warning system. Is that what those are? That's what it looks like. It could be a new engine piece or something, but it looks like the bottom of that thing. Because I know it's got some blue bits on there. But it's the thing with like the dead bird in it. Okay, so I was right, the early warning system. I don't know if that's the same thing that's used here for these ones. It might be the really just sized up huge, and they've got the little big. So you see these two bits here, and it's just enlarged. But it's a really fun way of adding some color and to make it look like there's some little windows or something on the ship. And it just worked out, I'm sure they planned it this way, but it just worked out that the entrance to the hatch house is built into the ship. I find that a very fun way of, incorporating, most of us when we have a hatch house, excuse me, we struggle with finding ways to hide it, cover it up, disguise it, make it look like something other than a hatch door. But this, it just kind of plays right into it because it looks like, a little hatch for a ship, a submarine, or whatever you want to call it. This is the interior, and again, using lots of those pipes. Remember, these are all custom built pipes. It's not pipes that are, come from anything in particular. So they had to decide, okay, I wanted to curve from here and go down and then into this. And this one is just going to go straight down, and same way with these. So pay attention to that. This is one of those interactable decors. It doesn't actually do anything in most cases. If you're using the interactables feature for KBT, you could, if Bucky was here on the plot, they could actually make it so that there's a door that suddenly appears and disappears depending on how you switch it. But it gives that illusion that this is like a lever switch for the door kind of thing. So straight away we come into this main, I don't know what you call it, engine room kind of thing. So you have the N for Nautilus. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. About the best shot as I can get. It's the back of a Hugel portrait. So you got just the gold emblem and then Chua pillars for the letter N. Like I said, you can interact with the lever in such that you can make it look like it's moving to an on or off position, but it doesn't actually affect anything. The only situation where it could actually affect something, like I said, is if you're using the interactables with KVT. I can show you an example of that in a minute. I think I still have it working, so we'll see. Here's the dining room. Nice big dining room, lots of cheese and wine. Again, most of the building in here is Chua. You know, you got the floors, the arches, but again, look at all the little pipes that they've thrown in. There's just all sorts of little bits. So here's one, they've got it actually closed off. They even have a little handle here. And it doesn't actually open it, but you know, for role-playing purposes or just to give the indication that there's more to the ship that we're just not allowed to see. That's where the faux doors and things come in really handy. So I don't know what this is supposed to be. I guess the main engine part. I've got it all boxed in, but there's a lot of stuff there. There's Chua desk, there's Chua tank. I think that's a Chua couch or chair, one of the two. A Chua fireplace. Just all interconnected to make this big, huge doohickey. I don't know what it's called. That's my professional name for it. It's a doohickey. As you can see, they got another faux door to make it look like there's other containers that you come in and maybe they just got it smushed in there under protective casing. Here's a little control panel. It's mostly Cassian floors, but then they've got like, here's the oscillating control panel. It actually makes some noise and you get this little blipping monitor on when you switch it on and off. These are another type of control panel. They don't actually function. And then you have the Marauder display. Those function as well. You can turn it off and on. They just got them arranged in a nice, interesting way. Again, I just noticed all the pipes. That's what gets my mind going. Okay, so then you go up to the upper floor of the ship. And you come up on this fantastic looking room. We'll just start over here on this side. We've got kind of the library lounge area. So you have this like portal window. It's custom. It's just glass with the arches to make the window itself. Depending on how close you put the arches, you can make it a more round window, or you can make it more like a kind of a rounded rectangle oval shape. And using the hover part pieces to make the circle and the bars, it kind of, you know, resembles, you know, more of the gear kind of thing. And then you get a glimpse to the underwater scene. So you have I don't know what they're using for the dark. It could be the oh, what do you call it? The cellar entrance, maybe. Maybe it's just it looks like it's posters, travel posters being used because they're kind of a dark gray. I like using them for kitchen cabinets and things like that. And I suspect that's what they're using for the water to give that, it's an ocean depth down in the dark, really deep. So then they have these water creatures. And when you're doing these uh, underwater scenes, it really helps to use animated foliage, like the plants and things that sway with the wind, because that gives the illusion that there's movement of water down there. And of course, using all of the sandstone rocks for the bottom of the ocean there. It's a really nice little idea. The little desk here is custom. It's basically a flat metal table, usually that nice bright shiny silver, and they've topped it with a layer of chua pillars just to make it a little different. Again, it's playing to that steampunky, coppery, bronzy looking materials. Really nice idea for that. Over here, that same thing is used for the dining table. This is like the officers club or something. They got their feast and everything. The plates are on top of little miniaturized rugs that are acting as the placemats. The centerpiece is just a shrunken down. It's one of the fountain pieces, and they've just shrunk it down as a centerpiece for the table. And here, I do paintings. We were showing one yesterday, in fact. And I said paintings can be as simple as 2 items. Just the background and, a plushie if you want. And this is this is exactly what I was talking about. These are like, it could be a painting of the creature. Maybe it's the mounted, like for like a trophy kind of thing. You've seen those fish, on the boards. I like to think of it more as paintings because they've kind of got them like right on the halfway mark. So it's like, they've got these nice nautical pictures for their little property here. This little table here, it's a very interesting little thing. It's kind of like a little map of wherever they're traveling. So again, they're repeating the Nautilus emblem here. And but then this looks like a little interactive, like a 3D map. You have like your compass symbols, and this is the continents or whatever, and these are like different locations of things that they're, maybe it's their targets or I don't know what. But the continent is actually a frozen lake decor, same way with this one. And the table itself is made out of, it looks like travel posters, metal-edged wood pieces. It's a cute little design, something interesting. Same way here, again, another little map. So you have the little 3D map, and then you've got the wall map. Same concept with using the frozen lake is like the continent, the ground. And then you got the compass symbol and all of that going on. I did something similar for a pirate house I made for their little treasure map. Let's go in here. Again, another faux door, symbolizing that there's more to it than just that. And then you've got this interior little aquarium kind of thing. Now, I'm not sure what they're using for the bubbles. I want to say it's probably the clunky fire extinguishers. And since they're not apparently using the tubes of this extinguisher, I suspect maybe they've got it upside down and the bubbles are just shooting out the bottom. And so you're able to get the bubbles without using the actual item. Really don't know how they're doing that, but I suspect that's what I would try. Well, see, that's partly why we do these streams, is kind of inspire and get you excited about housing. But again, they're just using some plants that have a little bit of movement, and then you got the stones, the obsidian rocks of different sorts. Simple, but there's no mistaking what it's supposed to be. Um, it's just framed glass. The back wall is Oran wall, granite floor for the bottom, and then two metal-edged 2x4s for the base. Going off into this little side thing, got a little desk. Again, it's using the Chua fireplace. I think it's just turned around so you get the back, or maybe it's the bottom, one of the two. And then they've got one of the Chua pictures, so it kind of looks like a TV monitor almost. See, I think it's this piece, and it's turned upside down, and I think the bubbles always go up, so it might be that. I don't know. That would be something to ask the builder. Again, still continuing with all those little extra pipes and things. Again, the Chua fireplace. Again, I'm pretty sure that's the back of it, but they're using as this little stand for the controller. These bits, that's upside down portable planters to get that nice yellow glow. And repeating the Nautilus emblem there. Again, lots of pipes, little TV monitors, things like that. Faux door again. Here's even a faux hatch with a ladder going up, as if there's more to the ship than what we're being allowed to see. And then the last big bit is the organ here. And talk about craziness. I'm putting this thing together. Again, carrying through with the Nautilus emblem, but then you got this crazy mad organ. Look at this thing. Now, according to what I was told, the organ is 144 pieces. That's a lot of pieces. Animated creatures. Well, there's a couple of ways. There are some fab kits, like the small hedge maze fab kit, I believe. There's a pond with some fish in it. That hedge fab kit has a little Jabbit that runs around. The pond has fish, and there's a fab kit. I think it's called the Matriarch Den. It's got little Pumera cubs and a mama Pumera on it that kind of are there. They don't actually like totally run around, but they're they're there. They move, they're breathing, and things like that. As far as NPCs that we can just place, like the character NPCs, those are coming. There's some coming today, and for the time being, I think most of them are kind of winter type animals. So you've got like a Kurg pack animal and some Pumera and things like that. But I suspect eventually we'll get more and more of those. Ow. Yeah, we have the hobo train, but that's like a person NPC. I think they were asking about the animals, but yeah, like I think you could get some Kurg if you do the what is it, the Lot Party Fab Kit, I think is what it is. They've got a couple of Kurg on there, little pack animals, but it's not like you can move them around or anything. They just stay on the Fab Kit. But with the update that's coming this afternoon, evening, excuse me, we should be getting some bids that'll add to it. We do have some corpses right now that some of us have been using as animals, but those aren't very nice looking because they have like missing body parts and stuff. But yeah, they're moving in that direction where they're allowing us to have more NPCs and things like that. But it's a slow going process. You get a little bit here and a little bit there. So it may not be exactly what you're looking for, but it's coming, hopefully. So anyway, back to the organ here. There's a lot going on, so let me see if I can kind of break it down for you. Most of the body of the organ is basically bars. It's just like 4 or 5 bars stacked together to make this nice brown organ body. These little switches here, I guess those are the things that you like, they adjust the pipes or whatever. Those are the tops of wine bottles. That's just the little toppers and just a little bit of the bottle itself that you see. The petals on the bottom here are Draken pillars. And then the keys, if we can get a good close look, are Cassian pillars and Draken pillars to make the different keys. Look at all that. That's just nuts. Laying them all out there. Of course, the little holder for the book is an orange shelf, the one that costs, I think it's 250 renown. Then the open book, and then the little portrait of a lady there. And then the pipes, the organ pipes themselves are orange cylinders, and it's just been tiered up. You start out small and you gradually get big. Again, if you look at this, you could probably get ideas for other things like maybe a telescope or retractable legs or arms for some kind of robot or something. You could come up with all sorts of things, but the organ definitely is a lot of work to put together. Yeah, we saw some of those in the plot earlier, where they were all like laying down and reclining or sitting and stuff. I'm just waiting for a different pack because Draken's really not up my alley. I'd rather have like a Protostar NPC pack. Yeah, the corpses have been used in a lot of ways. Like we had several laboratories using them as, their specimens that they're operating on and things like that. The Pumera is one of the faves to be used as a pet because it's the least damaged corpse. You really have to look kind of close to see it. And it's laying down in a way that looks like it's just curled up, kind of sleeping. So a lot of them will shrink it down and make little food bowls and a little pillow and lay the little corpse on top of that and make it look like a little cat pet in their house. I used I think it was the roan. He looks a little drunk, but because he's got his like tongue hanging out and he's just kind of, but he's prancing kind of happily. So I've used it as a cart animal, pulling a hay cart. There's been other people using them for other things, but yeah, it's usually like laboratory scene or maybe if they have like a really nature kind of thing, it'll be like they'll have like some traps laying out and then they'll have a pet that, an NPC corpse, like it's been captured or killed or something, kind of addressing to maybe their survivalist fab kit and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, a fantastic build for the organ. I mean, we've seen a lot of pianos and uh, like electrical bits and other instruments. We've seen guitars and drums and things like that. And I think this is one of the first organs I've actually seen on Exile side. I know there's been a couple done on Entity side that I've seen screenshots of, but this is the first one I've seen in person, and it's pretty impressive. Um, Again, it's a lot of, well, actually there's like a lot more bars because they got them all the way up back there too. And of course the red drape for decoration. But yeah, this would be great for someone that's trying to make maybe a Phantom of the Opera plot for Shades Eve or something, all creepy and stuff. And you're looking for inspiration on how to put together an organ. This is the plot to come to because that's pretty massive. Again, it's like 144 pieces, so yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for the Jules Vernian plot. I'm just kind of going over the notes that I took. Make sure I covered most, if not all of it. I think the only thing I didn't mention was I said that a lot of these bits were inspired by Jules Verne books, and the airships actually are in reference to the Mysterious Island, I guess is what it's called. I'm not too familiar with a lot of his books. I mean, some of them sound familiar, but I don't know enough about them to kind of match them up with the accurate little bits. But still, a really fun build. A lot of interesting, useful ideas that you could not only apply to something like this, but to other things too. I mean, if you're looking for like a water wheel for your plot or something for your little cottage or whatever, this would be um, lend some inspiration there. Well, thanks. I try. I change her outfit every now and then just to kind of mix it up, but I'm really bad at that, so I don't really pay attention too much. For the interactables, though, I'll go back to my plot and see if I can get that thing to work. Yeah, you can mix and match them. And hey, Nessie, they're actual costume sets that you can use the entire set of, or like this, I'm using the hat of one set, but I've mixed and matched other pieces to make my own kind of set, because I don't like looking like somebody else all the time. So I'm just going to quickly show the interactables. I hope it works still. I haven't messed with it since the last time we demoed it, so I'm not sure if it's still functioning like it's supposed to. But this is a faux lamp that I made. It's just a Chua spotlight inset in a dome on top of some cylinders with another dome as the base. So this isn't an actual in-game item. This is something I just put together. And I think if I hit the active button and then click the lever switch, well, see, it's not working now, but it should, uh, if it's working right, which mine doesn't seem to be, but as I switch the switch on and off, the light should disappear into the wall, and it just looks like the lamp goes off and on. But for whatever reason, that thing's not working for me right now. And for those of you that were here for the demo, you know that it was a pain in the butt to get it to work the first time, so I'm not going to even try and fix that up. But yeah, it was just an example. You can find the video. It's archived on the Twitch channel in the highlights section. Just look for KBT demo. It's also on the YouTube page. I may even actually start up a special playlist for just those demos. I've only done like 3 different ones, but somebody might find them helpful, even if I kind of bork it up a little bit, because I'm really bad at trying to explain this stuff. And especially since I'm kind of new to it myself, I don't really mess with them. This is the only interactable I tried to make, and clearly it doesn't work like a floopy at all. But let me just try and see if doing that fixes it. Because it should work, but it doesn't, or whatever. Whoops, open up the wrong thing. I don't know why it's not working. Anywho, I think it's just forgotten. It should be on that list, and it's just forgotten it. Anyway, yeah, so that's the tours for today. Well, those are already interactable as they are. I think more the interactables features more for custom stuff, because this is an actual, it isn't an actual lamp. If it's a candle, the candle itself is already interactable to be able to turn it off and on. So it would be kind of silly to make, link a switch to it to turn off the candle off and on. Now, the only exception to that would be like, say you have a house full of lights and you want to be able to switch them all off or all on with one switch. That would be a use for that. But just individually, it wouldn't make sense to do that for that. But yeah, barring any unforeseen issues, we will be back tomorrow to work on the painting that we started yesterday. You can see I've been tinkering around with some ideas for some wave cap thingies for the water. I haven't gotten much further than that. I really didn't want to do too much off camera, so we'll talk about that more either tomorrow or Friday. And of course, I'm still kind of putting in the last touches of the ballerina that I've been working on. I think I'm going to change the background. I'm not sure the stone really works for her anymore, so I'm going to maybe experiment with different backgrounds for that and then frame her up and probably center her a little better. But it's getting there, so that's things we'll be working on in the coming days. That said, with Arcterra coming out this afternoon, evening, I think a lot of people will be focusing on that. So we may be showcasing some of the new items that I may happen to, pick up that I didn't showcase during the PTR sneak peeks that we had. But yeah, whether you're interested in watching me tinker around with my own junk, or if you're only interested in the housing tours, feel free to drop by anytime. Housing tours are usually always on Wednesdays between the hours of 8 and 11 a.m. CET time. I started like 10 minutes earlier this morning just because I wasn't feeling all that great and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it through a whole show. But yeah, you're welcome to join us. If nothing else, be sure and join us on the 20th of April. That'll be our special extended episode for house tours. Basically, what we're going to be doing is showcasing some of our viewers' favorites over the last year. So if you happen to have a house that maybe it's what got you into housing, maybe it inspired your plot, or you just think it's the most fantastic thing out there, and I've toured it in the past and it still exists, then there's a chance I may retour it for the 50th episode celebration episode thingy. Did episode twice. Anyway, oh, well, did you find him? Oh, that's awesome, boy. Good job. Now you got 21 to go. Not to put any pressure, but there's 21 more out there, so you have to do some work. But yeah, unfortunately, the PTR has been taken down, so I guess you can't get on there anymore. But if it comes back up, give me a poke and I'll put it back up, copy it back over if another PTR drop opens. But yeah, any plot, you don't have to list just one favorite over the last year. If you have 10 favorites, mention them all. Who knows, we may visit them all. I really don't know how it's going to go. I'm going to play it by ear when that day comes. But yeah, we've had all sorts of themes that we've visited. We've seen Western themes, themes based off of other games, themes based off of movies, holiday related themes, underground, underwater, crashed stuff, all sorts of really interesting builds. And I just want to give an extra little nod to those that have significantly influenced others. I know of at least one that they said that the plot that they nominated was the reason they got into housing to begin with, because they found it so intriguing in the way it was set up and everything. So, if you have a little story to share as to why you nominate some, go ahead and share it. I might mention it as well. So, but okay, Boyd, that's great. I can't believe you're actually going through all of them. It's a lot of videos to go through because I mean because I think every tour video is at least a couple hours long. That's a lot of footage to prattle through, but yeah, it's been fun, and I just wanted to give a little extra something back to kind of again pay homage to those that build and inspire us, and to give a little bit of a chance for some extra goodies for those that have been sticking with me through all this. So there will be some prizes and stuff given away. I'm not giving too many details on that because I'm still kind of waiting on some response from Carbine, but fingers crossed I have some good stuff to offer. But yeah, so next week will be Dominion's turn unless something comes up, like I can't find any Dominion homes. If nothing else, I'll just showcase some more Exile places, no biggie. But that'll be next Wednesday. And in the meantime, we'll just tackle some my personal projects, things that I'm putting together, and maybe showcasing some of the new Arcterra stuff as I dig it up. Because I know there's tons of decor that we didn't showcase simply because most of it is like from drops or discoveries or something. I don't know what. But well, Becky, you can list them all out in the thread that I have for that, just so that I have it down and can itemize it and sort it and pick it out. Yeah, I agree. Most of their plots are pretty cool. Well, I appreciate it, Bex. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and everyone else, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you had fun, and look forward to the next time. Until then, you guys have a great day, and good luck with Arcterra this evening for those of you that are going to be anxiously awaiting it. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.